wanna wake up with regret inside my lungs. I don't wanna wake up with sadness on my tongue. Only got one life to live. I can't let this slip.
Welcome, Anthony. How are you?
Hey, I'm awesome. It's glad to see you. I'm so glad we can make this happen.
Thank you so much for joining me and for spending this time and doing this for me. I really appreciate it. I know others will greatly appreciate the message you have to share and the information. So, can you go into a little bit about how we came to meet each other?
Okay. So, about a month ago, I started watching Molly's programs on YouTube. And because I'm a flight attendant and I'm cheap, I'm not home that often, I don't have any subscription services on my television. So pretty much everything does come from YouTube. And I think everything is divine intervention because there was a video with Molly where Puppy Moon was featured right at the entrance of the video. And you know how when you're on YouTube and it'll show you just that first few seconds when you hover over a video? Well, that was Molly and Puppy Moon.
Oh.
And so because Puppy was in there, I clicked it and I started watching it. And that's where this journey has started because I had a pug named China Lee, and Puppy Moon reminded me of that. And so when I saw the video, I was like, that was my hook. That was the hook getting into watching it. The spirituality has always been there, but not the knowledge of things or understanding why things happen. I just knew I was different. And through Molly and several others that I've watched the channel on YouTube, it's really opened my world up. It's changed my world, literally.
So what is your intent for this interview? What is there anything specific that you want to share? Or you just want to share about your journey?
I think it's important to get across our story, especially when we're talking about spirituality, because a lot of times there's a lot of fear in self-disclosure about being different. When you don't fit the masses as far as organized religion, when you feel like you are your own vessel of religion and you can contact directly through yourself, a lot of people find that uncomfortable. And I think it's important for a program like yours, it gets out there and shows we are there, we're everywhere. We just don't all shout it from the rooftops because we know in past society, those people have been burned at the stake for being different.
I have a witch wound that I'm trying to work through.
So you know what I'm talking about. And I was scared originally to come out on my platform, but I was guided to come out. And it's been a wonderful experience. So I'm not scared. I think it helped because I was born different. And I knew I was different at a very, very young age. And I was ridiculed for being different. I learned to put my sword up much earlier than life, maybe than what other people had to do to protect themselves. And sometimes that meant just being quiet because, you know, children aren't supposed to be talking to God, you know, when they're 5 years old and then telling people about it. I visited
according to the Matrix.
Yeah. That's not something you say as a child because your parents will find out. So
they'll put you in a mental institution, right?
Exactly. You know, for me, it's all about getting that message out, showing we are normal people. We have real jobs. We just have a part of us that's different than the norm.
And more and more of us are being pressed to come out now and share our stories and come out in the open and let people know that they're not the only ones that are going through an awakening and they don't know what's going on and they're hearing things, they're seeing numbers, they're whatever, you know, and, you know, it's all part of the awakening process of, you know, awakening to your divinity within you and your connection with, you know, God and with each other. We're all connected. And
I think you've hit on something that is the main point. No matter what maybe channel you follow when it comes to channeling or spirituality or whatever, everyone has a consistent theme about waking up from the matrix.
Yeah.
And that doors are closing and doors are opening.
Right.
And it's time for us to stand up as the collective and speak our voice.
Yep.
Because I find it especially empowering right now because of the political environment that we are in the United States. That when people are abducted, that are citizens off the streets, ripped apart from families, children, and whatever, that's a critical point that we have already pushed. And we're beyond it now. It is time for us to push back. And this is how we can do it. We can wake up and say, this is happening and we need to change. And there's something that I talked about in one of my videos on my YouTube channel already.
Go ahead, name your YouTube channel while you're talking about it.
I said something about, I want you to put your mobile device down. I want you to turn off your mobile device. I want you to get out into nature and connect with Mother Earth. I don't know why I said it. Some things just pop out of my mouth and I have to live with it. And this is one of those things.
That's what you're guided to say. People need to hear that.
It's like you don't have yes, we have free will. But sometimes spirit pushes you and it just comes out and
it just comes out.
You feel, you feel the need to speak your speech, whatever. And so I think it's easy for me to do this with you because I've been doing it on my channel. And I feel like on my channel, my subscribers are right there with me anyway. Yeah. It's like I'm talking to you right now. When I do my videos myself, there's nobody in the room with me, but I feel like they are. Like I've invited them into my home.
Yep.
And we're talking about the hobby.
Same thing with me.
Healing. Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. I feel like, okay, I've welcomed you into my home, and now this is what we're going to talk about. And if it makes you uncomfortable and I lose a subscriber, that's fine. There's other channels out there to go to.
The right ones will find you. There'll be plenty to replace.
For those of you, but those of you who are inclined, stick around because this is the channel you're free to be spiritual.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned your channel, so why don't you name your channel for everybody if they want to go?
Aquascaping on the fly. And on the fly, it's because I'm a flight attendant. So I started the channel because I get these great layovers. And on the layovers, I like to go out foraging in nature. And sometimes I'll pick up a rock, moss, something like that, or plants that are growing in the sidewalk. I call them trash plants. It's a plant that I can pick up in a sidewalk somewhere. Nobody's going to miss it. And then I come back and experiment with it. And so I do videos about that. And then the full on like aquascaping, like what you see behind me. And then terrariums. And I just gave a terrarium away yesterday. Cool. I don't sell them. I make them. And then I like to give them away.
That's cool. So give them back to the community like that, right? Making something.
Give it back. I do. I choose. Like sometimes, like I have a sister that's on hospice care, and so one of her caregivers is super, super sweet. And so I made a specific terrarium just for her based on what I knew she would like. And I just showed up and I give it to her, and that gives me joy that I could create something. Because at my heart, I am an artist. And before I was an aquascaper, I'm living in house number 22 that I usually remodel, flip, and move. Oh, so like I move into.
I have a cousin that did that. Yeah.
That to me was my hobby before, but right now it's too expensive in this time to remodel something. The cost factor is just outrageous.
Oh yeah,
so
everything's.
Why not join? Why not? Yeah. Why not get a hobby that's called aquascaping that's just as expensive? Yeah, that was my thinking. But I try to do mine on a DIY budget. So, hey, there's the difference.
Yeah. Well, it involves water and, what water means spiritually. So I feel like,
yes,
specific people are drawn to water for a reason. I'm one of those people. You're one of those people. I had fish tank when I was growing up. And we had two of them, actually. I had one out in the living room, both 10-gallon. And I wanted one at the foot of my bed on the bookcase, the foot of my bed when I was, middle of high school. And I even moved it with me when I got married to my first ex-husband. And it went with me everywhere until I got divorced with him. But yeah, I love fish. I love aquariums. It just soothes me. I love just watching them with the light on and watching them move around, mate, and have babies. We had guppies too. We had neons. We all had tetras. We had all kinds of stuff in there and snails. But yeah, I loved anything water, involving water, and fish. I loved fish. I loved the boat, anything on the water and the beach, like what's behind me. That's like my happy place there. But yeah, I think specific people are drawn to water for a reason. But yeah, I like that you kind of go into that a little bit, because I think it's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic what you do. And you get to express your creative abilities, you know.
Yeah. The one thing, okay, and I didn't know anything about aquascaping until it was thrust in front of me by spirit. And I knew nothing about how to do it. Like you, I had the tanks when I was little, but it was gravel. And it was
Like
that
most
little,
of them, yeah, it's gravel or rock.
it was that little sea chest that bubbled open every once in a while.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so when I heard on the channel that was playing when I was remodeling my kitchen, and it said sand, dirt, plants, and I couldn't get past, oh my God, the water would be filthy. And I started watching it, and like within a few videos, I mean, literally a few hours, I was hooked. I was hooked into it. And I didn't realize it was happening. The first build set came into my mind called the Holy Trinity.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I shortened it because I was nervous that people would think I was a religious nut. And so I called it the Trinity series. But now, even in the Trinity series, one of the tanks named Garden of Eden.
Oh.
And in Garden of Eden, specifically, there's two pieces of wood that go like this to each other. All right. So that was Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Okay. And I find everything in nature. So I go on my nature walks. Mother Nature puts something in front of me. I take it. There's my inspiration. I was on a walk 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks after I found the first two pieces. And this is when I was just scavenging. I wasn't even putting a tank together. I thought, wow, it'd be nice to find something to go in a tank. And I'm in a dry stream because we're in Texas. And I found a stick that curled around itself on one level.
What? It's like the serpentine, the staff?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
I put moss on it, and I put a little red plant in its mouth. So for a while, it had a red tongue. And so Garden of Eden has a snake in it.
That is cool.
If that's not enough, the second tank in the series, okay, so it's 3 tanks that talk to each other. It's 3 individual 10 gallons with the same signal, like hardscape from one comes up, goes into the next one, and then goes up and goes into the third. And they share common plants to make it look like one scene, but 3 vignettes. The second one, I was in a campground where everything was gravel, and all you saw was a bunch of burned out pits from campfires. I pick up this piece of driftwood. Honest to God, it's a silhouette of a turtle, a sea turtle. It's got a snout, it's got a rounded body, and it's got flipper legs on the back end. What? I immediately thought of turtle in motion, which connected immediately to something that happened to me on layover in
you just reminded me
Barbados.
of my past life regression. I'll have to take later. The turtle. Okay. It's specific to me. So that's crazy how spirit does that. Wow. I just got goosebumps.
Okay, so hang on. So hang on. This is where the connection got seriously religious. So when I was in Barbados, our flight arrived really, really late on the island. I'm talking, we didn't get in until after midnight. So we get to the hotel, it's like 1 a.m. I go out on the beach anyway. So like in the US, on the water, they have yellow lights. So the turtles during mating season don't go the wrong direction.
Right, yeah.
Or when they lay their eggs, okay? And when the babies hatch. On the islands, private islands like that, they don't do that. Their lighting was white. And the moon was dark that night. So the turtles were going to the hotel campus, which had an elevation of 1.5 feet of concrete, a barrier. So they would go to the barrier and stop and get stuck, and they would just dig it in the sand. So I'm walking out, and I'm sitting on the beach, and there's no light in the section where I'm sitting. And I feel something crawl over my leg, and I thought, oh, it must be a crab or something. I never have my phone on the beach because I'm fearful of it getting wet. I had my phone in my pocket. Why? Don't ask me. Turn the phone on. I am surrounded by baby turtles.
Wow.
They're going the wrong direction. And I'm like, oh my God. So I ran to the hotel and they said, you can help them get back into the ocean by using your light on your phone. Just point in the direction of the ocean and they'll turn around. Sure enough, they did. And there was like 4 of us out there. And I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing something so magical. These things are going to be 100 years old. I can't believe I'm having this experience. Okay, so the people from the whatever show up. They get buckets and they just start throwing the turtles in a bucket and then dumping them out at the water's edge. I was like, we can touch them? And so, oh my God, then it was a different story. I was like, touching them. I was like, oh my God, I'm touching
They're
turtles.
so cute. Oh, I just want one now.
Right? Goosebumps were all over my body. It was so spiritual. That's when I had that epiphany when I was standing at this canyon with this burnt out piece of wood. That's how it works for me. When I am in Mother Nature and she provides something. Okay, so I'm still not getting it. I need another sign from Spirit. Mm-hmm. I do my next tank. I inadvertently call it the Tree of Life. Okay, hello. I don't need any more.
No reason for that. No.
No more signs. I don't need any more signs. But yeah, so coming out spiritually on my channel was the first thing I did. Mm-hmm. And it just made it natural for me. Now I can go back to those first videos. I've got almost 300 right now. I do not recommend looking at my first videos. They're stupid.
Well, I'm sure mine are going to be like that too. Like I didn't even have an intro or nothing on my first one. And
so
like, it evolves as you go. And that's part of the process.
Yeah, it's part of your process. You got to get past all those.
Right.
So yeah, because those I just find are just horrible. But I did have an event happen here in Texas, where I'm in the DFW Metroplex. Mm-hmm. I just about 3 weeks ago started putting shrimp in all the tanks, but I couldn't get the color I wanted anywhere locally. So I ordered them.
You talk about the color of the shrimp, right? Do they come in different colors now? They breed them like that?
They do. They're actually the ones we see in nature are brown. Mm-hmm. So that's normal.
Or the royal reds, like royal reds or reds. Yeah.
So the cherry reds are one of the first colors that they have, but you've got to keep the color separate or they convert back to brown naturally.
Oh.
So they have there's anywhere from what's called the ghost shrimp, which is clear, an amano, which is kind of clear, and then it goes the complete colors of the rainbow. So you get red, orange, yellow, green.
I bet you can get them neon. You get them to glow in the dark too, because they can do that now.
Oh my God.
I found that out. I'm like, what?
There are some of them that are so expensive, they're like $85 a shrimp. Because of the
little bitty shrimp?
Yes.
That's almost like the koi fish hobby, you know?
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. So I bought, so I have one political tank. If you
said political?
Yeah, funny. I got political. I did political. Okay, so if you watch the SeaWorld documentary Blackfish, which is about the Tilicellum whale that killed 2 trainers. And it's because how they're kept they're kept in these little cells for most of their life that they can't even swim in. I mean, they can't move around in. They're like literally prison cells.
Yeah.
And then they have them come out to do tricks, and it works against the mind of the animals because they're not in their pods. They're pulled from their pod when they're infants. So they're stolen.
Yeah.
And then they're forced into slavery for profit. So they made a really good one. It was called Blackfish. And so I named my tank Blackfish because I was out on a trail that was a trail for bikers. And you don't want to go on those because you can't be a walker on a bike track. You're constantly getting off of the trail, and the trail is just cut.
I've walked trails, I've hiked trails like that are both walking and horseback and
they come through there.
So yeah.
They come through there super, super fast. You gotta be careful. So I was walking through there and I stumbled on a tree stump. The honest God looked like a shark. Had a big old tall dorsal fin, has like a narrow point for the nose, has a back that's curved back with a tail. Wow. Really looked like a whale, but the first time I used it, I put moss on it and I called it shark fin. Mm-hmm. It didn't work with the moss on it, so I had to redo it. Then I put it into a tank, and then I put layers of rock around it, and then had these what's called blue velvet shrimp put in it. Well, when they arrived, the water was too warm, and I knew that was damaging to the shrimp, and I knew they might die. I ordered 20. Within 24 hours, 18 died.
Wow.
And I was devastated. Because they're like my kids, just like they're my babies. And they died because of the transit. The transit took like 7 days. And they're supposed to have like cooling gel and insulation. Insulation was hot. The gel had already melted. So they were already in trauma. But what had happened, either the day they arrived or the day prior, a shrimp gave birth.
Oh.
And I could only see these little black spots. And that was the eye, because the shrimp were too tiny to see. I put them all in the tank. The adults but 2 died. And I thought, oh God, okay, so now I just have 2 left. I moved that tank twice, so I had to drain all the water out except maybe about 10% to move the tank, because it's a 20-gallon long. It was too heavy. But I saved all the water. I get the tank back in its new location, put the water back in, started testing the tank at night when I wake up during the night with the flashlight to look at all my tanks. I counted 5 baby shrimp. I was ecstatic that baby shrimp have lived. So about a week ago, you
had the babies there.
Yeah, I know, I was so excited. So like a week ago, I put food in there, checked it again at night. I counted 25 babies. So I was over the moon.
Wow.
So the cool thing about...
You got more than what you paid for, really.
I know. So the blue velvet is a breed between a cherry and a blue diamond. So your shrimp can be red, blue, or red or spots. Yeah. And so I look in there and I've got 3 colors right now, because they're like a 1/4 of an inch long right now.
Wow.
You got some that are blue, some that are clear, and some that have like a red spine. So it's like every day something new happens. So that's cool. It is, to me, it is a spiritual journey in that respect constantly for me, because I look at my tanks and I'm very thankful for the blessings I've had, that even though I thought everybody was dead, really just what you said.
It was a blessing hidden and just got,
And I love the fact that most of the shrimp in the tanks don't get out and swim. They're like doing their little thing and they like to hide. My babies, because they were basically born in that tank, they swim all around it at certain times of the day. You'll see all of them going, just swimming around and swimming like they're having a blast.
That's cool.
So that part is so cool.
You get to see all that, yeah.
I get to see all that, so it's fun, yeah.
So you mentioned that you were different, you knew from a young age. So
yes,
you want to go into that a little bit, like what age you?
Okay, so
and how were you?
Yeah, let's talk about. Let's talk about. All right, so people are going to disagree with me, but I had my first memory when I was an infant in a crib. I was a love affair baby. My biological mother had an affair with a guy she knew. She didn't want me. She gave me to her mother, which was at this point already in her 60s and could not raise an infant. I remember being in a crib in her living room, and those down feather pillows, the old ones that had the blue and white stripes. Okay, she pushed me so far down into that pillow that I couldn't get up. So she kept me to where, as an infant, I was stuck laying on my back. And I remember this. I remember this feeling of being abandoned. That's the one thing.
I was just going to say that abandonment would started at birth.
It started right then. It started right then. Okay, fast forward until I'm 5 years old. I find out when I was 16 that I was adopted. Now, I knew I was adopted. I was not like anyone in my family. I knew it. But I was adopted in my family. So my father was really my uncle. It was his sister that gave birth. It was a scandal in my family for her brother to adopt me because I was supposed to just be left with the grandmother. The scandal meant that I didn't know any of my relatives on my dad's side. And I have 12 aunts and uncles. Wow. I can't know any of them because the scandal affected the entire family. So it brought a rift in my family at my adoption because my biological mother tried to sell me, and she tried to sell me twice.
Wow.
And yes.
Talk about a lot of trauma, really, like.
So my mom returned me twice. So not only was I abandoned as an infant, I was returned twice. There's not one photo of me before 5 years old. Because when they returned me, my mother burned all the photos.
Oh.
Because she said she had had it. She was tired of trying to be extorted for money for me. Because just as a side note, my mom, and when I say my mom, I mean the mother that raised me, she had 2 live birth boys that died within 28 days of being born.
Wow.
And she had 3 male miscarriages in a row. So she had 5 males die. She was getting a male baby no matter what. And that was her stance when I was born. She wanted me immediately, but his family put the stop to it until finally by the age 5, they let the adoption go through. So at 5, I know it's a long, weird story.
No, it's very interesting. You know, I love to hear other people's very, you know, not that I'm, you know what I mean? I want to hear your story, how where you came from and how it developed into who you are now.
The abandonment part is interesting because it's what affected me up until this last relationship. It affected my whole life. I didn't see it, but it did. And I can see it now. What spirit opened me up to that? That was my karmic lesson. So the so I'm 5 years old. I'm convinced God made a mistake. I knew there was something wrong with me. I knew that little girls were my friends, but I liked little boys. And I knew little boys were cuter. And I started having conversations. And so I visited heaven. I sat on God's lap. And I was told that they do not make mistakes. Not God does not make a mistake. They do not make mistakes. Now, I have never forgotten this from being 5 years old. There's a reason why the word they was there. And I don't know why it was said like that, but that's just the first example of where my spirituality started. And then because I was gay, I contemplated suicide constantly.
Oh, of course.
During my teen years and in high school.
It was not accepted back then, you know.
No, there was so much bullying going on, and I was so extremely religious, and my parents weren't. I was not raised in a church. I was the one that started going to church as a teenager, and my parents had to take me. And so
because you already had that connection and you wanted to feel closer. And
yes.
Yeah, I get that.
I loved it. And I also loved it because the church we were going to, you only sang a cappella music.
Oh, I love a cappella. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Pitch Perfect is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, to me, I love it.
Yeah.
So but their premise was it got you closer to God because you're using your voice only. So that meant no piano. That meant no music. You would go in tune and you would just start, singing. And I had to come out to my parents, and I started at age 22 going to, I don't know if you'll remember the name of this, but it was called Metropolitan Community Churches. They were not started in the United States.
I didn't know.
But the churches in the United States were basically started in California as a gay-friendly church. And so I was living in Oklahoma City at the time.
Oh, that's definitely not a very area.
No. Oh my God,
it's funny how God puts us in those places to break the ice of the old traditions. Isn't it funny like that?
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try and be really, really fast about this, not to bore anybody. But so my MCC church was just a bunch of lesbians. And so I was raised with my gay parents, they were all lesbians. And the one thing I love to say about lesbians is they all wear flannel and they all have bad backs. I mean, they all had bad backs and they all wore flannel all the time, but they were just amazing, amazing women. So my pastor was Bo McDaniels, and she has passed on, but I'm gonna tell you what she did to me. She tortured me. She saw something in me that I did not see yet. I think we called them acolytes. It's the person that comes up on the stage at the end of your sermon, and you're there to listen to prayer requests from people that come up in your line. So it happened every Sunday, and she would always look for 2 volunteers, one on each side of the stage, and then she would be in the middle in case someone needed something that was more of an emergency, basically.
Okay, yeah.
If the acolytes couldn't handle that request. She worked on me for 2 years. I mean, worked on me relentlessly. She would not give up. She was like a dog on a bone. She kept talking about it all the time. And now I socialize with everyone in my church. That was my family. And so she wouldn't tell me why. She just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until one day I kind of like pissed off. I said, fine, let's do it today. I mean, I was like, but I started sweating. Oh my God, it was the
fear coming up, like that wound being triggered. Oh yeah.
So I get up and my knees are shaking. So she makes the call, the invitation, but we get up before that and we go up to this, we go standing up there and I'm sitting there, I'm like literally scared, you know what? And I just said, this is my prayer. This was as simple. Please God, don't let me screw anybody up. Just don't let me screw it up. Don't let me say something stupid. First couple comes up. It's a lesbian couple, of course. I know everyone. They're all my friends. So they come up. We, put our arms around each other. They start speaking. Can't tell you a word they ever said. I start speaking. Can't tell you a word I ever said. But at the end of every service, someone, maybe 2, maybe 5, would come up and tell me something specific about what I had said meant relevance to them.
See?
Now, I'm not going to tell you what Bo did that first Sunday when she saw me getting feedback. Oh my God. I don't know. What do you call it when someone is gloating so beyond, like, I told you so? She came up later and said, and she still never referenced my life or anything. She never, ever tipped me off to that. But she said, I knew you had it in you all along, and you just fought me for 2 years. You could have been doing this all along. And so
you're like, yeah. I hear them. I'm stubborn. I don't know anything about that, me.
But her tutelage in this, it led to me becoming a board member. And it led to me being slain in the spirit 3 times that same year. So we would have a healing service where somebody would faint.
See, that's what I thought you were talking about, because I've been to Assemblies of God, and that's what they talk. That's what they call it. I've been to several different denominations of church. But yeah.
Okay, so
my first ex-husband was a Pentecostal preacher's son.
Oh my God. Okay, I know where you are. Pentecostals, they have music. They have music in a band. Oh my God, I thought you'd be going to hell.
Their whole family was a singing family. It was like the whole family. They had records in Tennessee and everything. Like people in their Tennessee knew about them, and they would travel around the different churches, and the whole family would sing. Yeah, and I kind of came into that, and started singing into the church and stuff like that. Got me up on stage and kind of worked through some of my fears a little bit. I don't like being on stage. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. We have a lot in common,
The first time I saw someone faint, I'm going to tell you really what happened to me. I said, oh, please, like, whatever. I know this is not real. Because I had been raised.
Yeah.
That's fake. All right. This is what happened right as I thought it. I felt Jesus pick me up and cradle me like a baby and rock me. And I started crying.
It's like your inner child. He's trying to heal the inner child, right?
Yes. And then just sets me right back down. A week later, we're all standing at the next week's service and we're holding hands and we're singing. My best friend next to me was elevated off the ground.
Wow.
I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, well, this happened to me. I'm seeing it happen to someone else. Okay, I'm cool with this now, because now that I know what happens, I'm okay with it. Fast forward to, I was at a church conference in Phoenix, and we had a pastor.
You're blowing my mind right now. I'm sorry to interrupt. My mother, my biological mother, took my sister to Phoenix, and my sister was raised in Phoenix. And I was across the country.
So we're having another connection.
Across the country with our dad in Atlanta, Georgia. That's crazy. All these sinks. Oh, I love God. I love spirit, because this is, it gets me excited when I hear this. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, so I had a favorite pastor. Her name was Dolores Berry. And Dolores was a singer. But people would they wanted her to come up and preach. She wanted to sing. So she'd say a little bit and she'd go, all right, we're going to sing now. So she'd just start singing. She'd sing by herself if she wanted to. If she didn't want you singing with her, she would sing because that was her, calling.
Yeah.
Well, she's given a Friday night healing service. And so she announces that she's going to be one of the ones praying over people. Oh, I am hot like her on rice. I was up and first in her line. Dolores and I knew each other, and I loved her. I thought she was amazing. She had such, like when you laugh, you light up. She was like that too. You can just tell about someone's spirit when they light, they're light and they laugh. You can just tell. She was like that. So, she was just amazing. So I was first. So her volunteers had just gotten there, the people that were supposed to, pick you up and keep you from falling. They had just got there. And my friends were still sitting down. They were so shocked that I was up there first. And so she looks at me, and I'm going to tell you a secret first. She had a gift that she refused to use for God because she was scared.
Oh.
I was the first person she used it for.
Wow.
She looks me dead in the eye and she says, you have a question for God. And first of all, I was in shock because I did have a question. I had a very specific question on my mind that I wanted answered. And I wanted the final answer. And she touches my forehead like this. But to me, it felt like she was a bulldozer trying to push me down. And I was fighting it. I felt my legs were locked. And I said, God, please don't let me fight this. Well, when I said that, I woke up 3 minutes later.
Wow.
I was on the floor. I had passed out. And so once I opened my eyes and I looked up and I was kind of like, what am I doing on the floor? I was just standing up. What happened? And so later on, my friends told me, yeah, you literally just fell past and we had to catch you. It took 3 people to catch you. You fell so fast. And so everybody wanted to know what happened. I'm like, I'll tell you later. What really happened, though, is when I said, please don't let me fight this, God was right there. So what I saw in my third eye was an abandoned building. And I was the abandoned building. Wow. I was shuttered. It was like a warehouse, a big, big warehouse. And all the windows and all the doors were all shut and boarded up. I was inside, so I am physically the building. When I said, please don't let me fight this, I was blown out from the inside, and it was my light that blew the walls and everything away until there was nothing. It was just bright, bright white, and I could smell this really sweet, cool air. And so I thought, oh, that's what my light looks like. I had told twice as an adult when I would be jogging, people would say I had to come and wait and see who was coming because your light was so bright. I even had someone tell me, you need to protect your light because people will drain your energy.
Yeah.
I was too young and didn't know what that meant. I didn't understand it at all. But I'd had people say that to me. But then when I had this message delivered from the divine, I knew what my light was. And I knew I was okay. And my question was it okay being gay? Because I had thought that question since I was 5 years old, that there was something wrong with me because that's what society wanted. Yeah, that's what they teach you. And so I had my answer. And even though when I was 5 and the divine had said, we don't make a mistake, it was just reinforced as an adult in a different way. And from that day forward, I didn't shut up about it. And it caused me to become an activist for gay rights in a state that hadn't even had a gay parade. I was at the very first parade in Oklahoma City, holding the banner for the front of the parade, confronted by the KKK.
Wow.
And the Baptist Convention.
Talk about working past your fears right there.
I was literally scared. I was there with my best friend on the other side of the flag. We were front, and I was scared we were going to be shot because
I'm sure
you don't ever want to see the Baptist Convention joining arms with the KKK. That is a really sad, sad day. So Bo suggested we start singing, and we started singing church hymns. And that's how we drowned them out. We just started singing and made that first historic march. And that's back when you had skinheads beating people up when they were going to either a gay club or a business or whatever.
That
And we
was the
joined
90s, wasn't it? Yeah.
we made our own little band where we would go out and walk people to places when you had to park, but you couldn't park
Protect
right
them,
on site.
yeah.
So we did that. So it was very interesting that my spirituality led me in these new ways to become more empowered.
Yes.
And that just became part of my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not, question it at all.
I love it. I love this story. It's a wonderful story about overcoming your fears and pushing through and giving into that purpose, that meaning for your life to try to empower. Again, you're not just empowering yourself, you're helping others feel like they can empower themselves. And that's why we're doing this as,
Right.
twin flames. I mean, you mentioned to me off camera that you were a twin flame. Why don't you go into that a little bit? What your journey is, because that does tie into what you're talking about. That ties into why we're here.
So let's go back to that feeling of being abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you in a weak moment. Well, okay, no, let's start on a positive. I didn't know what a third eye vision was until, I had it. I have had what's called, I always thought I just had it, I was intuitive. Like, I'll give you a really quick example of it. I was going to have a blind date that was set up through work. And the agency I worked for was AIDS Outreach Center in Fort Worth, Texas. We were putting together Christmas baskets for the homeless. And of course, you do it in like August and get your baskets ready. And then they're ready to hand out for the holidays. Well, the person who was over our nutrition center had someone that she knew, which was a pharmacist, and they thought we would be a really good match. So he's going to show up as a volunteer the same day that the crew is already there. So the employees are already there. And I'm already there in my element because I'm like the clown. And we've got Christmas music playing. And I'm with two of my best friends beside me. One does the homeless program. The other one's a psychiatrist. And we're just chit-chatting and having fun. The door opens and it's a metal door. You can't miss it. It squeaks. Door open. Guy walks in. This is what I said. That man is either going to break my heart or he's going to be my next husband.
Oh.
Well, sure enough, he broke my heart. He was not my
You
next,
called it.
But I called it. Another one that was hysterical. After he broke my heart, within a month, I had a blind date. And we were meeting at Papado's. I got there just almost a little too late. I'm driving into the parking lot. I see my date. I see the way he walks. This is what I thought. I do not have time for this pissy queen. But
I love it.
This is what I said to myself.
Like, oh no.
The worst that can happen? It's the worst that can happen. It's just dinner. Oh, let's flash forward to 8 years later. He stole my identity, robbed my house.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is the same person.
Yeah. That's crazy.
This is the same person that was implicated in his best friend's murder.
Whoa.
So when I went to seek counseling and I went to two psychics, the first one said, as I walked up, I can read your energy from where you're standing. He will never hurt you again. He will go to prison. And I'm standing there like, what? What?
What is happening right now?
So flash forward to the person I'm married to right now. Technically, we've been married 8 years. When I met him,
congratulations.
Well, yeah. When I met him for the first time, face to face, for our date, I opened the door, and the best way I can describe it is, if you've ever watched The Great Gatsby, the one with
not Robert Redford,
not the Leonardo version, the older one with Robert Redford.
Robert, yeah, that's my favorite.
When Robert Redford keeps driving by the gas station, and there's that mechanical sign, the eye, the optometrist sign. Okay, it was like that, except it was a hand and it did this, went like this. But it said this in my head, that's the man you're going to marry. Wow. And pointed straight at it. Okay. I show him around where the condo I'm living in. We get in the car. We're driving to the restaurant that I've chosen. He's sitting on the passenger side. He goes, may I kiss you on the cheek? And I said, sure. So I kind of turned like this, kisses me, boom, that's the man you're going to marry.
Again.
Never, ever questioned asking him to marry me 3 weeks later.
Wow.
In a marriage. Because I had a sign and I always trusted my signs. And I found out early into the relationship that he had a link to me that I could not understand. He always knew what was going on with me. He could tell if I was sick without me saying a word. He would get, I guess, I don't know how it would work for him, maybe an impression. I don't know. He always knew stuff about me. And we both mentioned that, okay, you're a soul family with Molly. And so what Molly had said early on is this person, I think she said it verbatim. It was like within the 3 weeks into the marriage, you knew something had gone wrong. Oh my God, it was exactly 3 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks in, I knew that the person I married was not the person I married I married. That persona was fake. The person I married showed up 3 weeks later. Yes, mask. 3 weeks later, and never, I don't know how to say this word, any word your readers are really going to get it, or your listeners are going to get it. I said many, many times, talking to him, I could talk to a brick wall and get more reaction. I could talk to myself and get a much better conversation. This is someone that would not answer, avoided answering, was too much in his ego. My red flags right after we were married were, I had mentioned wanting to adopt children. Gay people can't adopt children because gay people can't raise a child. Okay, I was horrified at that answer. The first time I opened his door to let him in the car, this is what he said: I'm not a woman, I can open my own door. I was like, oh my God, you are weird. Who did I marry? And it's too much into external, like to validate himself, he wanted to dress a certain way and to look a certain way. And in his ego, he needed to be chased because he was the prize.
Oh, just like my divine masculine. Remember I shared a little bit about that? Same thing.
I think that's where the ego comes in. There's so much into their ego that if you don't chase them, something's wrong.
Yeah, they think that you don't like them the way that that you perceived it, whatever they perceived that you did or whatever.
What I found out,
but it's all about being insecure and needing external validation instead of getting it from within you.
Right. What I found out, he wanted his green card. I bought and paid for it. I saw this happen within the first 2 years. In public, he acted completely different. Like he thought we maybe were being recorded. He would hold my hand in public. He would act loving in public. The minute we were behind closed doors, no communication, no affection.
Yeah. Sounds very familiar.
When I say this to you guys, no one's going to believe this. We never had sex.
Wow.
He said he was asexual. I got him into therapy, I think 6 months into the relationship, into the marriage. He went 2 weeks. So we had 2 sessions until the therapist suggested he wasn't interested in his husband. And I think that hit too close to home. And he didn't want any part of that, because that would blow his, identity. He just wasn't using me, which he was. He was using me because he wanted his green card. When he got his green card, he was gone within 2 weeks.
Wow.
So when he was gone, he immediately went to this group. Now, he's Peruvian. He went to a Peruvian apartment that had Peruvians that were undocumented. Now, he's the one with the citizenship now. So I was never allowed to meet any of his friends. That's called, okay, now I get that. And it was all about him creating these lies about me to his friend group that he was living with, which was only gay men, okay? Which I know he had another person he was interested in. And because, we can tell when something like that happens. When you move out and then you don't contact somebody for months and months and months, you're having a good old time on your own. So he didn't need me at that point. But he had created this narrative, because I found out later that the reason why I stayed in the relationship so long, that there was spell work going on to keep me attached to him, because I was still helping him occasionally financially. Not paying his rent or anything like that, but I didn't want him to lose his car. And so I would make sure he had enough money, because I believed his story still. I would never see anybody else.
Oh, they're such good talkers,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they can
I've been
stick.
there, done that. My BS detector, it's like it didn't matter. I just wanted to help people.
For some reason, you're like under a veil, and what normally would
the illusion, as they say. Yeah, the illusion.
You would know. So for me, this is what I thought, and this is where the infant thing comes into play. I actually said one time, it's better to be in a bad relationship to be in no relationship, because at least if I'm married to someone, they won't think there's something wrong with me, if that makes sense. Because I was diagnosed with HIV in 97. And back then, dating and being HIV positive meant you were damaged goods.
Yeah.
So my history was like, oh, there's something wrong with you. And if you're not married to someone, there's something wrong with you. So society would say there's something wrong with you. And I thought it would be better to be in a bad relationship to be in no relationship.
I was the same way with my last ex-husband. I felt like I'd rather be toxic and unhappy with the father of my daughter. At least we have the family together, and I can't even think about being overweight in my 40s and being a single mom. Like, who am I going to find? Like, I had this fear of nobody would want me, like.
And I think that's what.
And not only that, helps. I had to protect my daughter from being molested, because that was very what happened to my family. So,
but don't you think that ties into their narrative as well? It's easier to control us when we have those fears and those tapes.
Well, we allow them to, because we're not empowering ourselves. We're not doing the work, and we're not seeing the power that we have within us to, get through these things, that we can make it, and we can, make a great life for ourselves. We have to work through it.
So the reason why I think we were twin flames is that he always had a connection to me. And in getting this education recently, that's been validated by every single reading I've ever listened to. The timeline fits. Hey, you've lived with this your entire life, blah, blah, blah. You were supposed to have this mission. Your DM did not come forward. Your DM is so into their ego, and it derailed what was supposed to happen. So much on a bad scale that the divine had given like an ultimatum to my DM. When I say that, I'm talking the divine and Archangel Michael were specifically working with my DM to pull them out of a toxic situation of their making. My DM's mother controls all the children in her family. And I believe she's the one where the negativity started. And I think it's also the negativity between the friends he created in the United States.
It's always that way in the dynamics, I find, with the twin flames. It's always toxic third party manipulator controlling people,
I see it as two groups that were doing spell work that was intended to keep me stuck, attached to him. He had no idea that I would ever wake up from the matrix and turn. He was convinced that we would always be together. I would always be someone he could come back to when he needed a place to live.
Yep. Breadcrumbing, the tag, stringing you along to get what he wants, get his little fix and then leave, right?
Well, okay, so what do they call it when they give you that one little breadcrumb, and then that breadcrumb takes them months into the future?
I told you that's what happened to me. when I
with
when I
nothing.
quit chasing and I quit trying to keep the connection going and checking in and say, hey, I just say I love you, whatever, that's what happened. And I mean, I had to see it for what it was, that it was just enough to keep me hanging on, just
Yes.
a little bit
Yes.
every few months.
And
I'm like, no, dude, like I'm there for you, and I've been there, and I'm not doing, like, I'm trying to learn how to reciprocate evenly. And if you're not giving, then I'm not going to give. Like, I had to learn that hard lesson. And it was really
okay.
hard that I had to learn it with my twin flame, but that's part of the journey,
Okay. So I'm a Cancer, and that means we love hard,
Oh, yeah.
and we do not want to give up.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't want to give up. So my big record was, what could I try? And I kept constantly trying to try something different that would make it work. Now, in all honesty, we didn't live together that long. We lived together a few months the first year, a separate for 2 years. Again, a few weeks. Oh no, you're left because he got his green card, gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then a third time, and this all happened within 6 years. A third time, I kind of got an inkling the last time. I was like, I was thinking to myself, I think it's time I leave Florida. I was in Florida at the time, and I was based in Miami. And I was like, I think it's time I leave. And so I came up with a lie that, if you remember a few years ago when the condominium collapsed on the beach in Florida. Okay, so when it collapsed, Florida legislature all of a sudden enacted all these new laws about older buildings. And if you're on sand, which basically everything is on sand,
Yeah.
I wasn't on the beach, but we were on sand. They were going to go in and flag the buildings. Okay, so there was 34 units in my building. We did not have a reserve of more than 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
We needed a new roof, which was going to cost $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
And our building was already starting to be on the list to be flagged for structural enhancements. Now, what that meant was the owners were going to be responsible for that new roof.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, it's time for me to get out. So I remodeled
all
it.
The signs are pointing to that, right?
Yeah. So I used that as the premise to get him to move out back into his little apartment with the Peruvian boys. And I remodeled my kitchen really quick, sold it, gave him all the stuff I wasn't taking back here to Texas, and left. I left amicably. I did not break up. I just like, I'm going to transfer bases and you can stay here and blah, 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 blah. No big deal. All right. So that was year 6. Now we're into year 8. And at the beginning of this year, this is how soon this is happening. We were still talking about, hey, he wanted to transfer to Texas. And I was like, okay. But I said, hey, I have aquascaping now. It takes up almost my entire studio. I'm not really sure there's room for you. And I was just being honest. I said, you need to make a trip to Texas. And you just see where you would be. This is one thing he said. Now, he has watched my video, so he knows how big this place is. And he goes, oh, is that the sofa I'll be sleeping on? And that's when it hit me. And I was like, no,
not planning on.
If we're going to be back together, you'd be sleeping in the bedroom because we're going to have a marriage. He's already planning on sleeping on the sofa. So we know what that means. It's not going to be a relationship.
Yep.
It's going to be, let me stay there for free.
Yeah.
So I know who
under his
did.
control. Like, he wants to control it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a month later. And I know who did this to me. I was thinking it was either going to be, I was going to wake up out of the matrix, but I've been told who did it. And this was backed up between Amanda. I think it was Amanda who backed this up. Mm-hmm. I have a past life connection that we've been in a relationship several times in past lives. Mm-hmm. In the last life we had, though, I was the provider of this person. And we made a pact.
Look at that.
The pact was when one of us needed the other one, we would intervene. Mm-hmm. So this person is not in the 3D. This person was in the spirit level. This person is the one, and Jasmine, this is the honest God's truth. I woke up one day with one idea on my mind. I got to end it today. I got to end my relationship with my ex. I need an ex right now. Mm-hmm. It was like Mount Everest inside my head. I could not get this idea out of my head. And I didn't know where it came from because just 2 days prior, I was like, oh yeah, you need to plan that trip. You need to see it, blah, 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 whatever. I'm still moving forward with you coming here, even though if you think you need to sleep on the sofa. I was like, no, you'll be sleeping in the bedroom.
That's how it came through to me.
Yeah,
In
so
mid conversation with him, it hit me, and I immediately was like knee-jerk reaction. Okay, a switch went off, and I knew I had to follow it. That intuition push it, and I was right. It was right.
yeah.
But isn't that crazy
Okay,
how
so
it hits you? It's like boom. It's like you just wake up. You're like, oh, gotta do this. Bye.
it was weird.
And you're like, what made me do that? Like, and then you're like,
Exactly.
oh,
I didn't understand
No.
it until I had the reading days later.
Mm.
And then I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I did too.
So-
I had like a few weeks later. Yeah.
When Amanda explained it, she said, hey, this person wants to come into the 3D. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't get it. What does that mean? They want to come into the 3D. And then it was later led to believe, okay, this person wants to be your relationship. This person is coming in to be with you specifically, but you're not on the right timeline. So once I closed the door, and when I got my courage up, which was the next day, I got my courage up. He never wants to talk on the phone ever. He wants to text message. So I like, no.
That's crazy. This is almost very similar to me too.
I called, but when I called him, I had listened to both Molly and Amanda. So Molly said, when you want to do something, this is how you say it. You release them with love.
With a love and light. I always say love and light too. That's just the way I was guided.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had my script. And so of course he doesn't pick up the phone. I'm talking and I think I'm adding more words than I'm supposed to be adding. I get down to the very last thing. I'm releasing you from this relationship and all whatever I had said. Beep. I was like, oh, thank God I got it out. I got it all in one message. I was so happy. About 5 hours later is when I got the first text message. And this is all he said, I got your phone call. I immediately text back. I will not text you. If you want to talk, I will talk to you on the phone. I will not text about our relationship ever again. He sent 12 messages that day.
Oh.
No reply. He kept sending messages. No reply. This went on for, I think it was 3 weeks, until finally he called me. And just as predicted, everyone said he would be calling you, but it would be the vaguest conversation you have ever had.
You see right through it, right?
And it was. He wasn't ready. He wasn't going to say a word. He didn't apologize for anything.
Yeah.
He actually said this. I don't feel there's anything I did wrong. And I don't understand. I just listened. All I did was just listen. I hardly said a word. And I said, well, is that all you have to say? Because I said, I was expecting an apology.
Right.
And
as I would.
Right? Yeah. So then there was nothing. So that was the last phone call we had. And so since then, in the readings, it's been, you shocked him because he thought he was so in his ego that he was a hot catch that no one's ever turned him down. And
Same thing. This is so crazy. I love hearing the likeness between things.
Handle it. He cannot handle rejection. Now, in his defense, he was sexy. He used to be a professional volleyball player.
Oh, wow.
But he didn't understand how difficult it was to translate into an American society and not be God's gift to everyone, get whatever he wanted. So it's weird because I keep hearing updates about him. I mean, Amanda had one today about he's been given his 2-week notice that Michael and the divine say he'll take one step, but then he goes back. He'll take a step and then he goes back.
That's pretty typical of divine masculines. Yeah.
Yeah. He's been shown his prophecy, which is me with another person. He's been shown that. And he knows he has 7 days. Amanda said that today. He's got 7 days to act. And that's it. She said, because on 8/8, referring back to the 8/8 thing, She said something's
What?
going to
Oh
happen.
my gosh. I'll have to tell you something in a little bit when you're done with that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's another sync. So crazy. Okay, go ahead.
So,
I can't
so the
believe
funny
how many
thing,
are just boom, boom, boom. I mean, it's just confirming soul, soul family here.
well, the beautiful part about it is I was mad for a long time because I knew we were twin flames.
Yeah.
I knew we were on Earth for a mission. My
Hmm.
mission was never, it never got off the ground. I was very upset about that. I was
Yeah.
upset about losing. I was mad, number one, that this was a test, that we were supposed to be together, but because he didn't do his part, and it took me 6 years to wake up, and then another 2 to be really enlightened. And it pissed me off that it took that long. I wish I had woken up a lot sooner.
I
It
know.
would have
I
been
had the
easier.
same feeling in mine. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, we only became friends the last 3 years that he
Yeah.
actually approached me is when we were both that same year trying to go through a divorce. Even though we had known each other for 7 years, we weren't really activated on the journey until, in my belief, until that, because we went through the bubble phase, the everything's bliss, whatever, amazing. And then the triggering started happening. So in my opinion, and in my belief, we didn't actually
Right.
start and were activated on the journey until we befriended each other and all that started. So that was about 3 years ago. And I can tell you,
The,
it's hard. You gotta let go and it's so hard to let go of the control. Really, it is what it is. It's control. I want this. I want it. This is the way it's supposed to be. And
the
you were, especially when you receive intuitive downloads like I
stubborn.
did. Like I specifically received intuitive downloads instructions. It was like an instruction manual of things he and I were supposed to do physically in the 3D together, traveling around the world. And it was very specific. And I can't go into that, but it's just so specific. And I went, wow, how are we going to do that now? But then I had to let go of that. I'm still in the process of letting go because we got to let go of
There's
it.
one
We got to
thing.
move on our journey and however we're guided.
Yeah.
And if it's meant to be, they will fix themselves. If it's free will choice, and they'll come back, a changed person, and we will have the discernment to see whether they're true or not.
I don't know if you watch Becca
I haven't watched her lately.
Lumen.
Yeah, some of her videos have popped
Lumen.
up, but I haven't been watching near as many reading
Okay.
videos.
Okay.
Like
Hang on.
I was just kind of guided away. I
Yeah.
was starting to try to get more into inner union, and
Right.
I just need them less and less as I go. So I still
Right.
tune into Molly's just because I really want to support Molly. I really like, her message the way it is. So I do tune into those pretty regularly still, like, once a day or whatever, or every 2 or 3 days. But yeah.
The funny thing about Becca, she has this box. You've probably seen it.
Yeah.
She takes a box with just stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then she grabs a handful of stuff.
Yep.
And it turns into a reading that you can't believe how accurate it is. But I think she was the one who
Talk about her
kind of
charms or
made me.
whatever she has. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Pieces of paper, toys, whatever.
Yep.
So she said something that made a lot of sense. She's like, we don't just have one purpose and one soulmate. You're on your trajectory. If that trajectory changes, the divine puts someone else in
Right.
your spot for
Right.
you, because we all have free will.
Right.
So yes, you were supposed to have this journey with this gentleman, and you knew what you were supposed to be doing.
He catalyzed me.
But
He catalyzed me into my most recent spiritual awakening, which brought me into my life purpose, which is the very purpose of twin flames for each other,
right.
is to
Right.
trigger each other into your awakening, into your spiritual path and your soul mission, whether you do that together or not, and
Right.
like I said, like, who knows
So
what
you
the
needed
future
him
holds.
to get to
We
that
can
point.
eventually down the road get together
Right.
and do it. I don't know, but I have to
Yeah.
let that go because I can't continue being in my head and stay in the present
You can't be
moment.
stuck.
Right.
Yeah,
It kept me stuck. And when I put my foot down and did that, even though I felt I was like, oh, I put my foot down, I'm moving on, I still emotionally had not done the work, the shadow work, to begin fully letting go of him until Molly helped me walk through that. And that's when things started rolling forward into my life purpose, and I started moving forward with it because I was all in my head, overthinking. how am I going to do this? What am I going to call it? And I just kept going in this loop. And then I was obsessing about him, watching 10 videos a day, about what is divine masculine doing. I'm sure we all go through that, but I had to just start saying, okay, I need to do this. What do I need to do? And I kept asking God to show me. And finally, when I had that reading with her, the private reading, it's like she asked me just the right questions. She was intuitively guided. And immediately I just started crying. I mean, it was like that abandonment wound was exposed. And I was like, oh, there it is. That's the blockage. Because I kept telling God, please show me where the blockage is and show me what I need to do. And he answered. And so I was very thankful, that, Molly was used to help with her abilities to help walk me through that intuitively.
Honestly, that's how I learned how to, we talked earlier about cut the ties and how to ask Michael to cut the ties, how to block. So don't let me forget, we need to talk about my aura. I want to talk about that. But what's happened right now with my ex is that he knows now we were a twin flame. He's been shown what was supposed to happen. So the divine has shown him, but they're not going to allow him now because he has
to do the work on his end. And you have to do the work on yours, which is why you have separation, right?
Right. So the whole thing is he can't catch up to me now. So that's why I'm on another trajectory with someone coming forward that is aligned to the path I'm on now. But it was Molly who helped me understand that we have the power to do a lot more than I thought we could ever have before. I didn't understand that I could manifest.
Wow, her and I talked about that on our podcast episode. That's going to be not this Sunday, but next Sunday is her interview with me. And she talks about that.
I did not know what that was at all.
And
I had no idea.
I have ability to do that as well, but we all have our different ways that we do it. It's just interesting to hear like the way that she was intuitively guided to do the manifestations, and it was pretty quick. And then I'm more action oriented and thought and intention oriented. And so when I get focused on a goal, I take the intuitive action and it's like it happens, and it just, things come together. And so it's interesting to see how different people's abilities work differently to manifest. So but all of it pretty much is the intention, important part, the intention, and then releasing it and just moving forward. However it comes together is however it comes together. And that detachment is the power. That's the real power in the manifestation process, detaching from the outcome, how it's going to come together. It's just amazing to see that how different people have different abilities. But before you go into yours, I was going to tell you the 8/8 thing. Yeah. You're not going to believe this. This guy friend of mine that just came in my life a month ago, he's born on August 8th. And I've been seeing 8/8 and 8/8/8 for months now. And I still see it every day.
Okay. Well, but August 8th is your biggest sign, born on that day. And there's something is happening astrologically that day.
That's the portal. That's the Lionsgate portal.
I think is that the closure or the opening? Or is it both?
I believe it's the opening.
Is that the closure and the opening, or is it the opening?
I have to go look it up. Because I'm still learning about portals, but the 222 portal this year was really big for me. I had actually had a dream about my twin showing up at my door unannounced after we were in, no contact, like we had been at that time for 2 months. And he basically didn't call, nothing. He just showed up at my door unannounced and was nervous, and he asked to come in, and I brought him in, and he basically confessed his feelings for me, said he got a divorce, and he was ready, he just kind of wanted to see if I was dating, whatever, and he wanted to, whatever. It was just like a crazy dream, okay? It was just a dream, right? But it felt so vivid and so real to me. I'm like, okay, well, I had to just let it go. It's a dream. If it happens, it happens, I'm not going to sit here and wait, I got to move on with my life. but that's crazy. It was either on or around the 222 portal, like within a couple days. I can't remember exactly, but it was very profound. And I haven't had that vivid of a dream with him since or before. Like, that was crazy to me.
I don't wanna wake up